Good evening, everyone. Welcome to MOE's Facebook Live session, Supporting Our Teens in Post-Secondary Transition. I'm Valerie, Lead Education and Career Guidance Counsellor. As an ECG counsellor, I guide students to discover their interests, strengths, purpose, and aspiration, and explore the various education and career opportunities. I regularly engage parents as well, helping them understand how they can support their child's ECG journey. We hope that tonight's session will give parents a better understanding of the post-secondary education pathways, and as well as some tips and insights into how you can guide your children to make informed decisions regarding their post-secondary education choices. This session is part of MOE's year-long engagement series, A World Beyond School, that aims to help parents, educators, and students discover and gain insights on industry and competencies required beyond school. To ensure an enjoyable experience for all of us, I would like to invite us to observe a few chat rules. Let's stay on topic. We will take questions that are relevant to the discussion. Let's also be respectful. Let's ask and comment politely, keeping in mind others' perspectives and feelings. This evening, I am very happy to have with me on the panel Mr. Kelvin Ang, Community and Parents in Support of School Campus member and father of 3. Ms. Anna Phua, recent graduate from Singapore Polytechnic, Diploma in Creative Writing for Television and New Media. Mr. Muhammad Muaz, recent graduate from Nanyang Polytechnic, Diploma in Industrial Design. Thank you, Kelvin, Anna and Muaz, for joining us. May I invite you to introduce yourselves to our audience?
Hi everyone, I'm Kelvin. I'm a father of 3. My eldest is 18. He's just started on his polytechnic journey. In fact, he just started his year 2 this week. My second is 16 years old, and my youngest is just finished her PSLE last year, so I'm free. She started her secondary school journey as well. I'm also the founder of Cheeky Monkeys, a parenting portal. I'm very happy and honoured to be here tonight. Looking forward to sharing as well as learning from the youth as well.
Thanks very much, Kelvin. Anna?
Hi, I'm Anna. I'm from Singapore Polytechnic, and a fun fact about me is that before I was in Poly, I was actually in JC for a few months. So if you have any questions about JC and the nature of JC compared to Poly, I'm definitely the person you can ask.
Thank you.
Hi everyone, I'm Muaz, a fresh graduate from Nanyang Polytechnic's Diploma in Industrial Design. So prior to this, I had just completed my national service, and before that I spent 2 years in ITE pursuing a higher NITEC. And going through this education pathway has taught me plenty of invaluable lessons, and I hope to share some of my experiences with everyone today.
Thank you so much, Kelvin, Anna, and Muaz, for joining us, and we really look forward to hearing more from you when we take questions from our audience. So parents, before we take your questions, I would like to share with you how the education landscape has changed over the years and how you could guide your child in making informed decisions regarding their post-secondary education choices. So in the past, the education pathway of a student used to be straightforward. Now, it has expanded to multiple pathways that offer different opportunities for our students regardless of their starting points. The various pathways include junior college, Millennial Institute, Polytechnic, ITE, and arts institutions like NAFA and LaSalle. It is important for students and parents to keep an open mind and tap on these opportunities. I've seen students who have moved on to ITE after completing their NITEC course, after completing their N-levels and did very well in their NITEC course and progressed on to the Poly. There are also those who chose the JC route, but midway decided that the learning style of a Polytechnic suited them better, and hence they switched over. Therefore, the question on parents' mind tonight should not be which is the best pathway, but which pathway is the most suitable for my child based on his or her strengths, interests, and aspirations. And in guiding our children to explore the various pathways, it is good to start by engaging them in conversations and finding out what their strengths, interests, and aspirations are. What are some of the areas they're passionate about or curious about? And what are some areas they would like to contribute to? When our children know themselves better, it is much easier for them to decide on what courses or what subjects to pursue after secondary school. So as parents, we can also observe our children and help them understand their learning style. So how do they learn best? If your child is, prefers a more academic route and a more structured school environment, then JC or Millennial Institute could be a more suitable pathway for them. But if they're more inclined to a hands-on approach, then maybe they might want to consider studying in ITE, Polytechnic, or an arts institution if they have an inclination for arts, theatre, music, design, and so on. So parents, kickstart the exploration process by having regular and genuine conversations with your children about their aspirations. When guiding our children, we can use the SAFE framework. So firstly, S for support. Seek to understand that our teens have their own unique strengths, skills, and interests, and they're in the process of discovering how they can use their strengths and interests to contribute to our community. Be there for them and believe that their abilities can grow through dedication and hard work. Next, affirm. Let your teens know that you are proud of them and you appreciate their efforts to learn more about the post-secondary options. Encourage them to take ownership of their education and career journey. F for familiarize. Familiarize yourself with the various post-secondary options. As mentioned, the education landscape has changed so much since our time. So find out about the different opportunities available. And when discussing with your child, do keep an open mind and be flexible in discussing these pathways. And finally, E for empathize. Our teens these days are facing a lot of pressure. Peer pressure, social pressure, as well as pressure to, get into the course of their choice. So support them and let them know that they can always reach out to you to share their concerns and anxieties as they go through the decision-making process. It is also important that as parents, we manage our own expectations and be careful not to project our expectations and our experiences on them or insist that they have to follow a particular pathway, as this will inadvertently cause them to feel more stressed. So to reiterate, there are multiple pathways your child can explore. And MOE will continue with efforts to nurture diverse talents and expand education pathways. As recently announced, the admissions criteria for post-secondary pathways will undergo changes to recognize a wider profile of learners and to provide students with more options while ensuring that students have the necessary fundamentals to thrive in their chosen pathway. So for instance, the admission to the PFP will be expanded and the grade requirement for the best 2 subjects will be relaxed from a grade 3 to 4. And this will start from the 2024 PFP intake. And come 2026, PFP students can choose a cluster of interest instead of a specific diploma, giving them more time and space to explore their interest areas. And from 2028, more students offering a different combination of subjects at different subjects level will be able to join the PFP. On changes to ITE pathway, ITE will continue to transition all its 2-year NITEC courses to a 3-year higher NITEC program, allowing students to achieve a higher NITEC certification in a shorter time. It will also expand its diploma offerings to offer more upgrading opportunities for ITE graduates. As for changes to the A-level curriculum, from 2026 onwards, only 3 H2 content-based subjects will count towards the university admission score by default. The 4th content-based subject is only included if it improves the score. This will allow JC and MI students room to choose their fourth content-based subject without being based on their interest and without being overly concerned by grades. In addition, project work will be graded as a pass-fail subject. By lowering the assessment stakes, students will have more scope to explore their ideas and interest in issues with real-world applications. It will also give students more time and space to develop 21st century competencies and life skills that will prepare them to be future ready. The removal of mid-year examinations at the JC and MI level will also be implemented progressively, starting with the cohort entering JC MI in 2024. So parents, to find out more about these enhancements and to guide you in supporting your child to make informed post-secondary education choices, we have several resources for you, and you may find these resource links in the Facebook chat. And with that, I think you've heard quite a fair bit from me. It will be a good time to listen to our panelists, and perhaps we could start taking some questions from the audience. Maybe Anna, you would like to share first?
Sure. So for me, one of the main things that I considered was definitely my skills and interests. So for me, I knew from a very young age that I was passionate about media and about creative writing. So this was more or less the field I wanted to go into. So I went to look at the different courses that were offered, and SP was the only one that had a diploma in creative writing for television and new media. So I knew from the start, that's the one I wanted to go for. But I also have some peers who are very practical. They chose SP because it's near a train station. So very, very practical considerations, things like transport, or even things like the school culture and the availability of different CCAs that are there. I think these are all things that we take into consideration.
As for me, back then when I was trying to choose a course to pursue, during my early teenage years, I was quite fickle-minded, whereas I wanted to try a lot of things. So I was quite unsure about what I wanted to do, but it wasn't until my parents, who were observing me from the sidelines, they took notice of how I was someone that was very hands-on, and I like to make DIY objects around the house. I like to build things. So I guess they kind of saw that in me, that I was someone that liked to build things.
Right.
But in trying to find a course in ITE to pursue, I vaguely remember as I was looking through the course description, the program that I was interested in, Higher NITEC in Interactive Design, the course description mentioned something about, through this program, you will learn how to build websites and build applications. So back then, as a youth, I leaned into my curiosity because in the news, I was hearing all these talks about app entrepreneurs, internet startups, and that naturally made me curious. So as someone who likes to build things, I thought, going into this program, I could learn how to build apps and websites. And who knows, I could, end up being an internet entrepreneur or something.
Right.
So that was the main, considerations that led me to pursuing that particular Higher NITEC course.
Right.
Yeah.
Thanks very much, Anna and Muaz, for sharing. So from what I hear, Anna was quite certain of her interest, whereas Muaz, you had a lot of interest, at the same time, but eventually it was your parents, right, who observed that you are good with hands-on, and that it was also your parents who sort of observed your learning style, and you yourself had an interest in design. But one common thing that I heard from both of you is that you did some research on your own, right? Both of you actually went to the websites of the Institutes of Higher Learning to research on the courses that could possibly spark your interest, and you went to find out more about the courses, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, so I think that's very important that our youths are doing here. So students, if you're listening out there, do remember, do your research, okay? Because it will really help you make informed decisions on whether a course is suitable for you based on your interests, your strengths, and your aspirations. So thank you very much for that. We do have a question coming in. So perhaps I could just hear from our students over here before I share some of my comments on this question. So maybe Anna, you would like to go first?
Okay, sure. I think nowadays it's very different from how it was in the past, because in the past a lot of people are like, oh, the only way you can be successful in life is if you go to uni and you get a degree. But that's not always the case nowadays, because I have friends who say, hey, maybe I don't want to go to uni yet, or maybe I want to take a gap year. Some of them don't even want to go at all, and it's perfectly fine because it really depends on the industry that you're in. So for us, for the media industry, what's most important is your portfolio and the hands-on experience that you have. So I have friends who, instead of going to university, are getting more internships, using this time to really build their skill sets and learn as much as they can about the industry that they're going to be in. So now I think there are lots of alternatives to going to uni. I think going out to work is one, or there are many different courses that you can take in your own free time. So I think there's definitely that option. If I missed anything out or you want to add on, please go ahead.
Yeah, I definitely agree with Anna. So as for myself being in the design industry, it's important to have a good portfolio. So there's this saying in the design industry that having a good portfolio could actually be better than having a cert, having a uni cert.
Yeah.
So aside from that, also a lot of people in our industry, design and creative industry, they would go ahead to form up their own startups or start their own design studios with their peers. And also one thing I believe right now it's trending is I believe there's now a strong emphasis on work-study programs. So as for my graduating batch, I actually see some of my peers taking up these programs as it would give them a job, and simultaneously while pursuing that job, they would be able to expose themselves in the industry, pick up more skills, and all in all, I guess they can develop themselves holistically.
Yes,
Yes, I have friends who are aiming for that program also.
Oh,
Yeah.
Okay, that's nice.
Yeah, so thanks very much for sharing. Yeah, so parents, Shireen, you heard the reply from our youth. I would also like to add on that if your child is not able to progress onto the university right after the poly education, don't be disheartened if university is eventually her aspiration, because like what our youth have mentioned, you can always go out to work for a couple of years, gain the necessary experience, build a portfolio, and then apply for the university later. Because our universities, our local autonomous universities, are also practicing what we call aptitude-based admissions, okay? And this allows them to assess students more broadly on their interests and their strengths and particular achievements that they may have in that particular field. So it may not be all grades if that's what you're concerned about. And also Muaz mentioned about work-study programs, and in the polytechnics we also have got post-diplomas that your child can consider as well. So these are some of the options. Parents, you can consider if, let's say, your child is not able to go straight to university after Polytechnic. Okay, so there are lots of options, not to worry, and you can explore these options with your daughter. So I think maybe I would like to direct this question to Kelvin first. Maybe Kelvin, if from a parent's perspective, okay, how would you like your child to have a conversation with you regarding pursuing his or her interest?
I think hearing what Anna has shared earlier, I think of her doing her own research based on what she likes, I think that's a very good step. And it's a step in the right direction, because I think if you want to convince or you want to start a conversation with your parents regarding what you like or what you want to pursue in life, in your future life, I think you have to do some homework before that, right? You have to show your parents that you have a journey, you have a really keen interest in whatever that you like, and from then on, once you show them your research, I think the next step is to involve them in your decision-making process. It's not to say that, oh, I made up my mind, that's it, I want to pursue media, and I don't tell you why, because I just like it. I think, coming from a parent's perspective, I don't think I'll be able to take that very well. But if you involve me in your decision making process, like how you came to that, and you bring me to places like, for example, if you like to watch plays, you like to be in theatre, bring me along to watch plays, and then you can explain to me, what goes behind the scenes, and then that's how I see that's how your parent will be able to see that, what you really like.
Right. Thanks very much, Kelvin. Youths, would you like to chime in?
Yes,
How do you think you would have a conversation with your parents?
Yes, definitely. I think adding on to what Kelvin said, research is very important because I think every parent at heart, they're just worried about what this will mean for my kid. I think they're worried that, maybe they haven't considered the decision or they haven't thought through its implications. So yes, research is very, very important. One thing that I also find helpful is that I make a pros and cons list about different pathways that I can take. So, and then I sit down with my parents and I discuss with them the pros and cons, and we think about what suits me best. So I think, adding on to what Kelvin said, very important to get your parents to be involved so they feel like it's a decision that you made together, and that's very important.
So likewise, I agree with what Anna and Kelvin said about the importance of research. So there's one thing additional which I like to do. So in trying to engage my parents in conversations about my interests, or especially about the program that I'm leaning towards, I like to go through maybe the program's website and try to find works of their students from past years. So some of these works could be very impressive, right? So I would show my parents and maybe say, Mom, you see, if I join this program, this is what I can do. So at the same time, sometimes they will be fascinated also because the thought of their child being able to do what I'm showing them on the screen, it's maybe something that they did not cross their mind earlier on, and I guess it would make them more interested in me embarking on this journey. So that's what I would do, maybe dig through some of the past students' work and bring out some of their portfolios to show my parents.
Or even things that jobs that you can take if you go down in that industry, because I think sometimes parents are worried like, if my kid goes into this industry, like I don't know if there's a job for them in the future. But the world is so big now, and I think part of you reassuring your parents like, hey, there is definitely something for me, it goes a long way to help to reassure their fears.
Yes, thank you so much for that. So Pamela, I hope that you've got some tips and insights into how you could involve your parent in a conversation regarding your aspirations. So what we heard from them, do your research, do a pros and cons list, and dig up some stories as well to share with them. I think the important thing is do share your plans with your parents so that you could also inspire some confidence in your parents, meaning that you have backed up what your aspirations with some of your research, and I think with that they will feel more assured. So perhaps Kelvin, maybe you'd like to take this question.
Okay. I have to assume that you're not you're financially stable. So because you said you're not ready to join the workforce, so I guess that is money is not an issue, I guess. But if that is really the case, and you are not ready to start work, I think one very good option is to do volunteer work. Okay, because to do volunteer work, besides helping other people, you're also gaining experience in terms of how to work in a team, managing interpersonal relationships. All these are soft skills, and these soft skills would stand you in good state in future when you join the workforce eventually. And you can list it as part of your in your resume that you have volunteered in this charity or organization. So I think that will be one option. The other option is, even though I know you've stated that you're not ready to join the workforce, but I think it's good to maybe perhaps to find an internship or to work like a few months to sort of accumulate some work experience. I think Hannah has shared also earlier that a lot of her peers are actually looking for internships, and I think my wife's because my wife's in HR as well, so she also sometimes tells me that a lot of our youths are now looking for internships. It's like they're trying to accumulate as much experience as possible, like playing a RPG game.
Exactly. You want to add on?
Agree. Internships and experiences can really help you to feel like you have a bit of a power up before you enter the workforce, because it's kind of like a taster of what you will actually experience. I think another thing that you can do, and another thing that I like to do, is go online. there are so many different courses that you can learn right now, and a lot of them are free. So for instance, I've been slowly picking up Excel skills through YouTube, and Excel is so powerful, and it's something that's really, really helpful actually, especially if you want to work with numbers a lot. So I would encourage you, go online, take advantage of the internet. You know, it's so vast, there's so many things you can learn, and a lot of them are for free. So it's alright if you feel like you don't really know what you want to do. Like, I get it, graduating from poly is very scary, but there's always something you can do, and what's most important is that you take it at your own pace and do it when you're comfortable.
Yep, I agree with what Anna has said. So also to add on, I think one very important thing to consider is, even though you have graduated, still try to keep in touch with your school and your lecturers, because you never know if they could come up with these kind of opportunities, be internship opportunities, freelance opportunities, or you could even come back to school to help out, you know. Yeah, so just keep in touch with your school, and who knows, your lecturers or staffs could help to broker this kind of opportunities for you. Yeah.
Very, very wonderful advice from our 3 guest speakers. Thank you very much for that. And I would take the next question. And maybe invite Kelvin to share about your work experience. I know that you've been in the finance industry for more than 20 years. Yeah, perhaps you could share with our audience some of your work experiences on hiring practice, and what are your views on, say, the skills that is needed for our youth, you know, beyond education, when they're ready to go out into the world of work.
I think nowadays it's really very different, the job market, and I think last year MOE has actually organised also a panelist sharing session where, you know, they invited various professionals from various MNCs, and one of them was actually from Google, and he actually shared with the audience that, you know, the hiring practices have actually changed. They don't really look at the academic component solely, and they try to find out more about the person's character and his experiences, and basically soft skills, like what I mentioned previously. Is soft skills like critical thinking and problem solving. I think these are the 2 main, very important aspects that employers are looking out for, because, you know, the world is changing so fast. And I think, to put it candidly, right, if you think about it, in 10 years' time, I think the people who are in the decision-making process of hiring people will be my batch or your batch, right? Because I was born in the 70s, and I think those who were born in the 70s and 80s, I always think that we are always in the unique batch, is because we actually made the transition from the hard copy world to the soft copy. You know, you still remember ICQ? IRC. You know, those are the time where we just had with dial-up modem.
Yes, definitely.
I guess you don't know what.
Dial-up modem, definitely. Yes.
Yeah, so we made the transition from Ericsson phone, Nokia phones, and now smartphones. So we had the taste of both worlds, and when we are eventually in the decision-making position, I think we appreciate what technology had brought us, and we also appreciate that the world is changing, and a different set of skills on top of your academic qualification is important.
Definitely. Very well said, because skills, you know, on top of academic grades is definitely very important, and this is something that I encourage students as well, that even whilst they are in school, you know, do tap on the opportunities, you know, to develop your skills by actively taking part in CCAs, in school experiences, in projects, all that, also that you can develop yourself holistically. Right? So you do not have to wait till you go out into the world of work, you know, to develop these skills, but you can actually do them while you're going through your various school experiences. So at this point, maybe I know that Anna and Muaz have done some internships. You want to add on to how work experience or skills is like for you?
Yeah, so I interned at one of the ministries, and I was part of their comms and engagement branch. So I was in charge of social media, and I think one of the things that was really important that I learned in school that I also applied during the workforce was the ability to meet different people and to kind of work with people of different calibers, of different skill sets, and people with very, very different personalities. And I think one of the things that really helped me with this was my CCA. So yes, I encourage you to join a CCA because I'm from SP Confairs and we're an MCing club. And something that you learn when you MC is how to talk to the audience, how to put yourself in their shoes and think like, what is it like they want out of this? How can I make this experience enjoyable for them? So I think as a content creator, that mindset was also very important, learning to see things from the audience's point of view. So yes, definitely a lot to learn. Skills are very transferable. So I don't think anything you ever learn is wasted because you can always find some way to use it.
Exactly.
Anna brought up some very good points. As for me, despite being a design student, majoring in industrial design, so I actually took up an internship at the Inland Revenue Authority of Singapore, IRAS. So exactly the same reaction I get when I tell everyone. So design and tax organization is such an unlikely couple, right? But fortunately, Polytechnic education is quite diverse and equipped me with a lot of interdisciplinary skills. So I was given the opportunity to intern at IRAS for 9 months, and during which we tried to use design to improve tax services or to create digital experience for taxpayers. So it was quite an interesting internship opportunity whereas it's different from what I had in mind. I thought I would join a creative organization or creative industry, but it was nice to see how my field of study can be applied in the public service sector. And that also is something I would like to encourage to any of the students that are going into Polytechnic. Keep an open mind and try to pick up this kind of interdisciplinary knowledge and skills, because you may not necessarily pursue a job in your major in specific, but maybe with the skills you have gained here and there, you could broaden your job opportunities, and who knows where it could take you.
Exactly. So you are really right, really spot on. You mentioned about transferability of skills, you mentioned about interdisciplinary skills. I think this is very important because even at the Institutes of Higher Learning, we are all moving towards interdisciplinary learning. So let's help ourselves also become more versatile, make connections, and really just be able to apply our skill sets to whatever task or careers that we are at the point in time. So there is a question for Muaz that is from Hafiz. He says, "Hi, Mr. Muaz. What are you doing now? Has your diploma helped you?"
Okay. Hi, Mr. Hafiz, I guess. Right now I will be graduating next month in May. So thereafter, I would actually be furthering my studies by pursuing a degree later this year at one of our local universities. So how has my diploma helped me? Honestly, I would like to take it a step further a bit and maybe bring you to how ITE has helped me to help my diploma journey, Polytechnic journey, to the point where I could actually see myself entering a university. So back in ITE, I realized that I was more of a hands-on person, and ITE's curriculum was structured in such a way that made me realize how capable I was. I could put my hands-on skills to good use, and fortunately, I was able to do well in do well in ITE. Thereafter, with the knowledge I had gained in ITE, it definitely helped to complement some of my Polytechnic experience. And in Polytechnic, thanks to what I did in ITE, when I was going through Polytechnic, I was more motivated than ever actually. And fortunately, I now, for the first time ever, I actually look forward to going to university, and it wasn't something that I thought I could do when I first started my ITE journey. So I hope that any of my peers that are entering ITE could also have this frame of thoughts in mind. And aside from that, in the meantime, since I have some time before university starts, I am actually in touch with my school, and they're offering me some freelance opportunities to continuously push and develop my design skills.
Wonderful, wonderful. So I hope your friend Hafiz has got an answer from you as to how your diploma has helped you. Thanks, David, for that question. It is indeed a very, very important question because as we know, the world is changing so fast and we're now living in this VUCA world, volatile. U for uncertain, C for complex, and A for ambiguous. So skills that we have today, it may be obsolete 5 years' time and so on. So what are really some of the skills that we need to help ourselves be future ready? Really is, I'd like to just highlight what Skills Future Singapore has talked about, the 16 critical core skills, which are divided into 3 clusters. And the 3 clusters are critical thinking, interacting with others, as well as staying relevant. So as long as we keep these skills in mind, we hone our skills in our communication, in our adaptability, and even in our digital skills, right? Because we are all really just moving towards digital skills and technology, and technology is advancing so fast. As long as we work on these 3 clusters of skills and have this disposition for continuous learning, for lifelong learning, I think we would be able to stay afloat in the working world, David, and also make ourselves relevant whichever stage of life we are in. So I hope that answers your question. So the 3 clusters of skills will be thinking critically, staying relevant, as well as interacting with others. And I see on the screen right now that the questions are coming in fast and furious. I have a question from Rebecca. So I think who better to direct this question to than Anna, who has got some JC experience.
Yes, so for me, I know there's this conception that, Poly is more specialized and JC is more general, but in JC, you also need to choose which subjects you want to take. So it's not necessarily that Poly is more specialized. I think what's more important is that you take the time after O-levels to really discover what your skills are and what your strengths are, along with what your interests are. These are the most important things. And then when you look at those things, you map them and match them with the courses or the education pathways that you can go to. So one of the ways that I find very helpful when I was discovering what do I want to do with my life? What am I interested in? Is, in the words of Marie Kondo, see what sparks joy. See what you naturally gravitate towards and see when you have free time, what do you do? What makes you happy? What naturally makes you interested, makes you want to continue doing it. So for me, I think what's more important than deciding between Poly and JC is deciding what your interests are and deciding hey, this is the avenue that I can see myself working in for the next few years. I think that's very important.
Yes, yep, exactly. So what your interests are, and also if you are thinking of moving on to the junior college after the O-levels, it is good to still do research on the JCs that you are maybe aiming for or the JCs that you would like to go to. Have a look at their websites, take a look at their subject combinations so that you could sort of have an idea of what kind of subjects you would like to do if you were to go to the JC, and also ask yourself if the JC style of learning is really something that you are comfortable with, because the JC offers a broad-based academic curriculum and it is really in a more structured school environment. So if that is what you're comfortable with, and I have students who tell me that they feel that they will thrive better in a structured school environment, by all means, do your research and decide if JC would be the best pathway for you. Okay? Pros and cons of a Poly.
Okay, sure. So in Poly, I guess some of the pros is the learning style is quite diverse. That we have a mix of hands-on learning lessons where they teach us how to use softwares. And that is also paired with lessons that teach us about problem solving, to develop our critical thinking skills, soft skills. So I would say the beauty about Polytechnic is how diverse the lessons are. And maybe one of the best pros of all is that I did not have any exams. So everything is projects and assessment based. But though it's cumulative by every term, I believe. Yeah. So you have to consistently try to maintain the quality of work that you do. But yeah, it's nice taking a break from exams for a while.
Right.
Yeah. So in terms of cons, I guess because in poly it's quite cumulative, you have to ensure that you constantly pace out your work well and not to do everything at the last minute, maybe in the last few weeks. So as long as you pace yourself well, I guess your Polytechnic journey could be fine. But maybe Anna could add on a bit more.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with what you said. I think maybe I can add on for the JC bit because I was in JC for a little while. So for me, the difference between Poly and JC is really deciding on what your learning style is. So for JC and MI, it's a lot more theoretical, so very academic. It's quite similar to what you've been doing in secondary school. So a lot of books, a lot of exams, a lot of readings, and instead of being cumulative, it's just one big exam at the end. Yes, which is the A-level examination. So it really depends on how you manage your time, and it also depends on which learning style you prefer. If you're a more hands-on person, then you should definitely go to Poly. But if you're a person who's more academic, you like theory, then definitely JC is for you. As for differences between JC and MI, I think MI is 1 year longer than JC, but I can direct it to Valerie, our content expert.
So you have heard from our youth the difference between Poly and JC. So I'll just share on the differences between JC and MI. So whether you go to JC or you go to MI, eventually you will take the A-levels. And it's just that MI offers an extra year. That means it's a 3-year program and you take the A-levels at the end of 3 years. So if a child is interested in going to MI, it is because MI offers more time and space for the child to be able to cope with the rigor of an A-level curriculum. So MI also offers what we call commerce stream, commerce subjects. So they have subjects like management of business and principles of accounting, which you can take at the A-level as H2 subjects, which the JCs do not offer. So MI is the only institution that offers the commerce stream. And you will do a 3-year program, but eventually you will take the A-levels and it will be the same A-levels as if you have gone to a JC. Okay, so I hope that answers your question. So I think the person who could help us, shed some light on Ben Ong's question, Kelvin?
Well, I think Ben, I feel you because you're not alone, rest assured. I've gone through the same thing, and perhaps maybe I'm still going through the same thing right now. I think it is perfectly normal and fine that teens of that age, they're still uncertain about what they want to do in life. Because looking back when I was a teen, I still don't know what I want to do.
Exactly.
But I think there are a few ways that you can support your son. One being is to find out more about his interests. I mean, there has to be something that he likes, whether is it gaming or just watching movies or watching YouTube videos. Yeah, but that's an interest. So once you try to understand why he likes that, you will know that his motivation behind playing a certain game, and join him in that game as well, so that he also realizes that you're putting effort to understand him better. And one thing that I think me and my wife found very useful is that all 3 of my kids, we have invited their friends over to our place, because you know how teens are. Sometimes when we ask them face to face, they do not want to tell us anything.
Yes.
But once they congregate in their circle of friends and at our place, we just eavesdrop on their conversations, like, oh, hey, I didn't know you like this, or I did. Yeah, so that's how we find out, what are some of the interests or what are the likes and dislikes that my kids, So so through that way, we sort of know more about our kids, and I think that's one way to support them.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally agree with you. So I think Ben, it's okay if your son is still unsure, but like what Kelvin said, do take that time to observe him, to find out what his interest areas are, and also invite his friends over, and then when he's interacting with his friends and all that, you could, just observe him from the sidelines and see what he's naturally inclined to or what he gravitates towards. Maybe one of the ways, and it's a very useful way that parents can learn a little bit more about industrial needs, is really to go on to My Skills Future portal. Okay, so in My Skills Future portal, there's a feature called the World of Work, all right? And I always encourage my students and parents to log onto the portal and take a look at what are some of the job roles, what are some of the industries that's available on the World of Work. So with that, you and your child can do a little bit more research, can understand a little bit better about what are the different job roles out there, the different sectors out there, the different opportunities out there. Okay, and the next tip that we could have, anyone with any ideas?
For industrial needs.
Yep, for industrial needs.
Well, actually, mine is not so much of a tip, but a personal sharing is that personally, I feel there's no point in trying to chase after, trying to sort of, shoehorn certain industrial need, because who knows, by the time when our kids graduate from their course, it might have already moved on. So, and my personal example would be, I graduated with a mechanical engineering in US, but I didn't become an engineer. I hated English, I hated compo writing,
Right.
but I started a blog. It's funny how life turned out, right? I mean, it's so we don't really know how our children will turn out to be. But I think the important thing is always to maintain try or cultivate a sense of curiosity in our kids. Because if you have that sense of curiosity and that attitude to learn, I think our kids will be able to survive.
Well said, well said. Words of wisdom there from Kelvin. Stay curious, stay hungry, just to quote Steve Jobs. Okay. Maybe Anna, would you like to add to this question?
Yes,
Is there
okay.
anything?
Maybe I can talk more about matching your skills and interests with the course that you want. Of course, if you want to keep up with the industry, it's always good to read newspapers. So I love reading newspapers just to see what different companies are talking about at that point in time. But I think one thing that was very helpful for me when I was transitioning between JC and Poly was to really go see my ECG counsellor, because I was feeling very lost at the time. I think I didn't really know what I wanted to do, and I never really expected to leave JC. So it really helps to just have a neutral party to sit down and discuss your options with. So for me personally, that was very helpful, and they were able to recommend the different courses that they thought were more suitable for me and my skills. So yes, go see your ECG counsellor. They're very nice. They don't bite.
And they're very, very helpful. So yep, go see your ECG counsellor.
I think both Anna and Kelvin brought up great points. As for me, in trying to stay relevant and updated with industry needs, one thing I love to do is to, one of the points I mentioned earlier, is to keep in touch with the school, because the school is always constantly trying to upgrade their curriculum and to ensure that opportunity always stays out there for their students. So even though I've graduated, I am in still very close contacts with my lecturers, and we try to form a group whereby even alumni that are in the industry will contribute back and try to give advice or give updates on what's happening in the industry, so that youths like me that have just graduated know what to look out for and know what kind of industry or areas to further my studies in or to work in later on. So I guess it's very important to maintain that connection and maybe just build your network so that you are in touch with the right people to provide you with the right information.
For me, I think you have to, and I speak for myself as well, because it's a struggle doing that sometimes. not to project my own expectation on my child. And because if there's one important thing that I've learned after all these years of being a parent is never to let our children be the victims of our unfulfilled ambitions. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Kelvin, for that. Yeah, Anna?
Yes, okay. So I think to parents, I think it's very important to stay open-minded. That's something that really helped when I was transitioning from JC to Poly, for my parents to not be judgmental and instead ask me like, oh, how can we best facilitate your journey? So to me, I was very grateful for that, and I'm very thankful for my parents.
As for me, I would say I'm similar to Anna. I guess as for my parents, I appreciate when they stay open-minded and just not to project some of their unfulfilled ambitions on me. And aside from that, I also appreciate how they would actually celebrate the little milestones as I go through my various education journeys, as it was actually very helpful in pushing me further and making me realize that I am actually more capable than I thought I was. So I hope our youths likewise could also experience what I had gone through.
Right. And really well said indeed. And I really want to thank Kelvin, Anna and Muaz, for joining us tonight, for just coming here and sharing with us your inspiring stories and your experiences. I think it was really a very enriching and insightful discussion. So allow me to just pull everything together from our discussion and summarize 3 key takeaways. So as parents, we are our children's greatest supporters, and we naturally want the best for our children. So let's set aside time and space to speak with and listen to our children. As you do activities with your children, as you spend time with them, guide them to discover their values, interests, personality, skills, and purpose. Let's affirm them with our words and actions and help them build their sense of confidence and self-efficacy so that they are able to make decisions and transition to post-secondary more confidently. Let's also recognize that there are multiple pathways that our teens can explore. Keep an open mind and be flexible in discussing these pathways with them. We can offer advice, and as we heard from Kelvin as well, let's avoid pressuring our children based on our expectations and our experiences. Instead, help your child choose the pathway that best suits him or her learning style. And finally, do encourage your children to develop resilience, adaptability, and a growth mindset. Because in life, our children will face setbacks and things may not go according to their plans or their expectations. So for instance, they may get a poor grade or they may not get into a course of their choice. How then do they recover from that, move forward, and consider other possibilities? So let's help our children see the importance of continuous learning, of lifelong learning, so that they can stay relevant in this rapidly changing world. And with that, parents, thank you so much for joining us tonight and for posing your questions in the comments section. We apologize that we were unable to get round to all the questions, but I hope that tonight's session, tonight's sharing, has been useful and insightful for you. So parents, do remember that you are not alone in supporting your child. Do reach out to your child's school teachers, as well as encourage your child to see the ECG counsellor for further guidance. And you can click on the links on the Facebook chat if you require more resources and tips on how you can support your teens through this journey. Do keep a lookout also for our next session live on Facebook, happening on 16th of May at 7:30 p.m, journeying with our teens to discover themselves. And with that, from all of us here, we wish you all the very best as you support your child's education and career journey. Take care and good night. Bye.